Hey everyone! In this video, I'm excited to share with you my top 10 most atmospheric horror games released in the past decade. These games will genuinely chill you to the bone, especially since the main characters aren't armed with an arsenal, but only a camera or a flashlight. Let's face it, sometimes being defenseless makes the fear even more real. This list features horror titles that deliver a truly immersive experience. And if you enjoy this video, I'll definitely be coming back with a part 2 dedicated to even more standout horror projects. So let's dive right in. The Evil Within is a very original horror project from the creators of the Resident Evil series. Although this game does not quite reach the level of the Resident Evil series, it has its own unique atmosphere and style. It is a third-person shooter, where the main character is Detective Sebastian Castellanos. During his investigation of a murder at a psychiatric hospital, he mysteriously finds himself in an otherworldly, creepy, and frightening realm filled with original monsters and creatures. The Keeper and the resurrected Laura. What a pair they make! The detective's main task is to escape this eerie world and uncover the monstrous secrets he encounters along the way. I want to warn anyone who hasn't played yet The Evil Within is a rather challenging project. Even on the easiest difficulty level, the game will make even the most hardcore player break a sweat. But believe me, it's worth it. As I mentioned before, the game is very atmospheric and can certainly captivate fans of the genre. Outlast occupies the second spot on our list as a true first-person horror game, where the protagonist doesn't have any firearms at all, only a broken camera that becomes his sole tool to escape from the real hell known as Mount Massive. For those who don't know, it's a mental asylum where various experiments were conducted on its inhabitants. Outlast is a genuinely hardcore horror game, whose developers adhered as closely as possible to the best traditions of the horror genre. Believe me, hardly any game can scare you as much, and Outlast can easily outdo any newly minted horror project. The player takes on the role of journalist Miles Upshur. Besides the video camera, which constantly needs batteries to function, Miles carries a notebook in which various notes are recorded throughout the game. But you won't be writing many of these notes because you won't have time for them. All the while, you'll be searching for an exit from the asylum, all while being pursued by various keepers of this asylum, the 2-meter-tall mutant Chris Walker, the psychopath Richard Traeger, and so on. It was during these moments that my hands started trembling, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up. The protagonist's camera is equipped with a night vision device, without which it's nearly impossible to move around the asylum in poor lighting. When using the night vision, the camera quickly drains its battery, forcing the player to frantically search for scattered batteries, which also kept me on edge. The gameplay includes solving simple puzzles, stealth movement, as well as moments when you must run away from your pursuers, overcoming various obstacles, and hiding in the dark in closets, under beds, and in other secluded places. Layers of Fear is a first-person psychological horror experience that challenges you with puzzles as you explore a Victorian mansion shrouded in mystery. You assume the role of a troubled painter whose quest to finish his masterpiece spirals into a descent into madness. The mansion itself becomes a character. Its ever-changing layout and unexpected jump scares mirror the protagonist's deteriorating mental state. As you piece together the painter's dark past through notes, drawings, and eerie artifacts, you'll find yourself fully immersed in the game's unsettling narrative. It's a must-play if you're into psychological horror that messes with your head. Dead Space 2 is the direct sequel to one of the best third-person horror shooters. You again play as the engineer Isaac Clarke. The action of the second game takes place 3 years after the first installment, following the events on the spaceship Ishimura. For obvious reasons, those who played the first game will understand, the main character ends up in a mental hospital. After some time, necromorphs creatures from the first game attack the ship where the protagonist was located. Soon, what was once a once-populated and livable place turns into chaos. Isaac witnesses everything happening and recalls the nightmare he experienced for the first time on the ship. It is at this moment that the main character decides to put an end, once and for all, to the obelisk that was turning people into bloodthirsty mutants. The second installment of Dead Space managed to maintain its frightening and truly fear-inducing atmosphere. New types of mutants were added, Isaac's arsenal of firearms was expanded, and more open environments were introduced. I can't say the same about the third part of Dead Space. Not that the third installment was bad, but it resembled more of an action game where Isaac fought both mutants and humans 50-50. Therefore, this top list includes the second part, which was simply a masterpiece. I highly recommend playing it if you ever miss Dead Space 2. Daylight is a first-person adventure horror game that brings a fresh twist with its procedurally generated environments. Reminiscent of Outlast in both style and tension, you control an unnamed young woman who wakes up in an almost empty, ever-changing building with no memory of how she got there. Every playthrough offers a unique maze of rooms and spine-chilling surprises, keeping the adrenaline pumping. Song of Horror is a relentless survival horror experience that plunges you into an atmosphere of constant dread. From the moment you start listening carefully before opening each door, knowing that a single misstep might unleash the mysterious, ever-adapting presence. Every sound and shadow keeps your heart racing. With 13 unique characters whose fates hinge on your choices, the game demands total focus and rewards careful observation. It brilliantly channels the spirit of classic horrors like Silent Hill, while adding modern twists that make every moment feel fresh and terrifyingly real. The story hooks you immediately with the chilling disappearance of a famous writer and his family, setting off a dark mystery tied to a cursed music box and its haunting melody. Personally, I was completely absorbed by the emotional roller coaster of fear, excitement, and adrenaline as I navigated claustrophobic corridors and eerie, abandoned locations. If you crave a game that pushes your limits and leaves you with unforgettable, sleepless nights, Song of Horror is an experience that will resonate long after you put the controller down. The Medium is a psychological horror game in which you play as Marianne, a medium capable of simultaneously traversing the real world and its spectral reflection. The game stands out with its unique split-screen mechanic that displays both worlds in parallel, allowing you not only to solve puzzles, but also to gradually uncover a mysterious story through its visual and audio details. The narrative centers around the personal drama of the main character, whose experiences and encounters with unsettled spirits create an atmosphere of inevitable tension. Despite the linear gameplay, the gradual immersion into the story and intriguing puzzles keep your attention riveted, while the absence of traditional jump scares makes the experience more subtle and psychologically rich. The game's visual design impresses with its detailed locations that reflect an abandoned, melancholic world, where every object breathes the atmosphere of bygone eras. The sound design, created in part by Akira Yamaoka, complements the overall picture by enhancing the sense of duality and mysticism, making the medium a worthy representative of the genre for those who appreciate a deep atmosphere and an original approach to horror. When it comes to reimagining a classic franchise, Resident Evil 7 takes the cake. Moving away from the series' traditional roots, this installment embraces first-person survival horror, with realistic graphics that truly set the mood. Inspired by classic horror films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Blair Witch Project, it delivers an experience that's both fresh and terrifying. You follow Ethan Winters as he searches for his missing wife, only to end up in the clutches of the sinister Baker family, a group of cannibals who redefine fear. From intricate puzzles to claustrophobic encounters and intense boss battles, Resident Evil 7 offers a rich and immersive horror journey. Until Dawn is an exceptional horror game that blends interactive movie storytelling with genuine terror. Every decision you make directly impacts the unfolding story and ultimately the fate of its characters. Initially released exclusively for PlayStation 4, its unique approach later inspired similar titles on PC, like the Dark Pictures Anthology and Little Hope. Its butterfly effect gameplay keeps you guessing about which choice might save everyone or doom them all. As you search for clues, investigate mysteries, and make split-second decisions, the tension never lets up. This game is a must-play for anyone who loves immersive, story-driven horror. Visage is a paranormal horror game that channels the eerie atmosphere and visual style of the canceled Silent Hills. Set in a sprawling suburban house of the 1980s, you step into the shoes of Dwayne Anderson, a troubled resident whose dark past still casts long shadows over his present. Trapped inside this oppressive abode and relentlessly tormented by supernatural forces, your primary goal is to explore the claustrophobic rooms, piece together cryptic clues, and ultimately uncover the hidden source behind the eerie phenomena. One of the game's most distinctive features is its focus on minimalistic survival mechanics rather than traditional combat. Instead of wielding conventional weapons, you must rely on an assortment of everyday items: lighters to illuminate pitch-black corridors, pills to help restore your dwindling sanity, light bulbs that cast just enough glow to reveal hidden details, and candles that mysteriously repel ghostly entities. Additionally, you can use tools like a camera to document the uncanny occurrences, or a sledgehammer when desperate situations arise. This resource management and the need to constantly be on guard for subtle auditory cues make every decision feel vital, intensifying the overall sense of vulnerability. Playing Visage was an emotionally charged and immersive experience for me. I vividly remember pausing before opening each door, my heart pounding as I listened intently for any hint of danger. Every creak and whisper felt like it could be the prelude to a terrifying encounter. The game's slow-burn tension and meticulously crafted environments drew me into a world where every shadow and distant sound amplified my fear. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about feeling every ounce of dread and anticipation that came with uncovering the mystery of Dwayne's past. If you crave a horror game that marries classic atmospheric terror with innovative mechanics and deeply personal, pulse-racing experiences, Visage is a must-play that will resonate long after the credits roll. That's a wrap for today's list of horror games. If you enjoyed this countdown, be sure to hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.